Well, it happened. Someone tried to assassinate Trump, and they missed.
Hey, yo, lesson here, babe. You come at the king, you best not miss.
It was wild. I was watching it, and, Trump, he gets nicked, and then he goes down.
Take a look at what happened.
He pops back up, but he's like, fight, fight, fight. And I'm like, did Trump just turn me on? Face is all covered in blood. I'm like, am I aroused right now? And then I look at my husband. He's erect. It's not just me. Is there something like, they can't take away our freedom?
Yeah. Something about that moment.
You're like just covered in blood, the defiance in the face of almost certain near death.
Yeah.
You're like, Everyone watching this show knows I'm no fan of Trump. And immediately I was like, I guess I'm MAGA now. When they called Biden, they woke him up and they were like, sir, someone tried to assassinate your vice president.
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president.
By the time this comes out, he might very well have dropped out already. So we don't know. We're shooting this Thursday, July 18th. Trump is speaking tonight. What's wild about the news cycle is that this feels like it's already out of the news cycle in a weird way. Everything is processed so quickly. Comedians were getting on stage doing jokes about it that night. They had them loaded up that evening. It was so fast. It was crazy. This very t-shirt was given to me by a fan, was made by 8:30 p.m. that night. Everything is so fast. We live in meme world now.
That's why I like Dumpster Fire and every 2 weeks doesn't bother me, is because it's like a reflection on what's happened. We can't keep up. So we're looking.
No, we're retards galore. Well, we're just struggling to stay afloat.
Right. But like we literally, people who do the news every day can't keep up. It's constantly changing. So
the best for the people who do this every day and for some reason decided to go touch grass, or Aaron Rupar, who famously has made his entire personality about clipping Trump rallies and things that he says and doing threads. And he was like, this is boring. Trump is late. I'm leaving. I'm going to Earth, Wind, and Fire with my mom.
I saw that.
And everyone was like, look at the timestamp.
They were like, how was the concert?
There were a lot of people who were very apolitical who saw that video, and it was very moving, not just him standing up and saying fight. I was surprised by it.
I was
truly.
too. In that moment.
And a lot of people say oh, this is his showmanship. This is his instinct to be a showman. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I have a lot of friends who were in the military, and they talk about this all the time. You can't know what someone's going to do when they're under fire until they're under fire. You can try and train around it. You can try and train the instinct to hide or cower or not be brave out of them, but you really don't know until they're under fire what they're going to do. And it's fight, flight, flee, freeze. There is a fighter in him. Yeah. And I have had to really assess my own priors. I've kind of just assumed he was a cowardly narcissist. Mm-hmm. And many of narcissists are kind of cowards deeply. But also I assumed we have all this President Bone Spurs. I didn't know that he had that in him, honestly. Frankly, I was surprised by it. I don't think I was the only one, judging by the polls. Jared and I were joking. We're like, were the boomers right? All our boomers are like, no, he loves America. He's just fighting for us. We were like, oh, God, this is uncomfortable. Were those boomers right? And then there were all these people that were coming out and they're all wishing him well. It's like, you guys, if you think he's Hitler, why are you wishing him well? In the aftermath, everybody went into war mode, but they were weaponizing peace and unity. We need to tone down the rhetoric. I'll tone down the rhetoric if you do. This rhetoric is what's destroying our country, and that's why we must defeat the evil empire that is trying to destroy your family. If your instinct is to celebrate or dance on the grave of somebody when they die, you might want to check your moral compass, because clearly it's broken. And there's been a lot of that. Although I will say I at least respect their intellectual integrity and being logically consistent. Guys, what are we doing? What are we doing? The left was digging up a dead man's tweets. Corey, the fireman who was killed at the rally. The left was finding his old tweets and bringing them up and making fun of them. The right is going crazy on some vigilante. Like, they're going after every single person who posts on Facebook that they're mad the shooter missed and trying to get them fired from their Home Depot job about the shooter. This shit is sus. Are you trying to drive us crazy? No one's getting fired. How was the roof not covered? And this entire very easily from, I'm not a genius, but it seems like an obvious place that you would want to defend if you had a rally. It seems like they let him wander around. There's videos of them pointing at the shooter, being like, there's a shooter. He's got a ladder. He's got a gun.
There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down, you see him?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, there he is.
Because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people, criminals.
And no one does anything. You look at the timeline, which was released last night, and it is insane. It's insane. He came through security with a rangefinder. Like, what? And then you're supposed to tell people to tone it down and not be suspicious, as if we already aren't primed to believe whatever conspiracy is put in front of us after having our brains annihilated for the past 4 years. Someone should have lost their job right away and taken accountability. And the reason people don't trust institutions is if they aren't going to come forward and say, hey, the buck stops with me, I should resign, then people immediately get suspicious. He's like a lone wolf, 20-year-old with no social media. His parents are both psychotherapists, which goes to tell you when two psychotherapists have a child, he's just a psycho.
There was also the headlines that stayed up for hours after what was clearly an assassination attempt. Trump removed from stage by Secret Service after loud noises startle former president.
If you weren't on Twitter or watching Fox and you just saw what was coming through your feed on your phone or MSNBC or CNN, you would have thought the president just tripped because someone lit off some fireworks or firecrackers.
And then there's Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after he falls at rally.
After he falls. Here's, again, what drives me insane is the double standards and hypocrisy and why people have no respect for mainstream media whatsoever. Is they're like, we need to be careful. There are certain ways you need to cover this. There's certain language you have to use. Like, you destroyed the Covington kids to the point that Nick Sandeman sued CNN and won. You had no problem running with what everyone knew sounded like a fake hate crime with the Juicy Smollett. You had no problem running with that. Kamala, every celebrity, every mainstream media had no problem basically taking his story as the truth and assuming that anyone else who pointed out this is very suspicious and highly unlikely as like a right-wing racist bigot. That's the other thing that's so infuriating about these headlines. Other people were shot. You knew that at the time. There were people at the time, and you're saying, oh, there's ways we need to cover this. Like, what are you talking about? You knew at the very least someone shot something because there were people bleeding in the fucking stadiums.
Right. And then there was the one that came out in print, the Sunday Denver Post.
The Denver Post.
Gunman dies in attack.
Gunman dies in attack. I mean, there's this meme online that's like, you, however much you hate the media, you don't hate them enough. And I don't like to be all anti-journo because they do really good work, particularly local journalists. They toil endlessly with no recognition and generally because they're just so curious. But these people who have become big names and these huge, like essentially PR mouthpieces for one side or another are insanely dishonest. insanely dishonest, and not to mention have the worst double standards. Suddenly, we need to express unity if it's your side that's doing some shit. But if it's the other side, it's Nazis are on the march and democracy is falling. There were some headlines that we were joking about, like Trump injures ear in fiery speech. Donald Trump gets man killed by missing bullet. And we don't even know, by the way, if this guy was politically motivated, and we'll probably never know. Guys, 4 months. There could be a natural disaster, a terrorist attack. I knock on wood. There could be so many things that happen between now and the election. I can't even comprehend what has happened in the last 5 days. And by the time this comes out on Sunday, it could be dated already.
Oh, for sure we'll be dated. But we do our best.
And I guess your best wasn't good enough.
By the way, we didn't really cover what hilarity ensued in the Secret Service. Let's just say it hasn't been a great week for women. The absolute clusterfuck that occurred with the Secret Service and the DEI hires of women who it literally looked, I was saying to Maggie, it looked like someone was like, Bridget, Maggie, get in there.
Go protect the president.
Or like running around trying to look like you know what you're doing. She doesn't know how to holster a gun. Someone else is like putting their glasses back on just to, make themselves look cool for the camera. I was saying it looked like an episode of Reno 911.
Yeah.
You can't even write a satire as funny as watching these women bumble around. And then there was a video that someone took when they were at the ER in Pennsylvania that he was brought to, and they were all watching. I was like, and there's that woman again, and she's running around looking like she has no idea what's going on. Like, never did it occur to her that this could actually happen. Look, they're brave for being willing to put themselves in front of the line of fire. I'm not minimizing that. I will say it was hilarious watching them try and perform their roles, and This should also be a huge scandal.
I know.
It reminds me of Team America. It's like a Top Gun actor.
Top Gun actor.
He's like, I don't know anything about being a spy or being like an op. And he's like, it doesn't matter. You just act your way into it.
Haka Sherpa Sherpa, a bacala. Oh, Durka Durka Durka.
Told you he was Top Gun.
I've never seen acting that good.
That's what it feels like they told these women.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know anything about this. It doesn't matter. Just pretend you do. Just do what they do on movies. You'll get the hang of it.
Get in there. It really is. It's like, Bridget, Maggie, go. Get in there.
I'm like, this would be exactly what it looks like if Maggie and I were in there.
Yes.
The only thing that keeps dumpster fire burning is your support. Gather around this dumpster fire because it is going to be a rocky ride, folks. Join us at Phetasy.com. You get the unedited version of Dumpster Fire, and you get to see all of the things that mean, horrible Maggie cuts out and leaves on the cutting room floor. And you get a lot of other stuff. A lot. So just join us. If you love what we're doing, just support us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, touch my bells and my buttons. Speaking of sluts, are you worried you have an STD? No one likes to think about STDs. None of us do. But if you're sexually active, you should be getting a routine STD and STI screening to make sure you and your partner or partners, we're not here to judge, are safe and healthy. QuestHealth.com offers comprehensive STD panels and individual STI screenings with several collection methods. These are the same quality lab tests that doctors use. It's as easy as purchasing a test from QuestHealth.com and visiting a nearby Quest Diagnostics location for sample collection, which is amazing, particularly for those of us on HMOs. Your results are delivered online quickly, discreetly. STD testing with Quest keeps the results off your insurance. You have the option to discuss them at no extra cost with an independent physician who may be able to prescribe treatment. Use the link below to get 25% off your purchase. You don't need a promo code if you use the link below. It's automatically included in the order. Boomers, I've seen the numbers on the STDs. Just because you're a boomer and you're out there getting wild doesn't mean you still can't get an STD. Get out there and get tested. Save your partners and save all those people in the retirement communities in Florida.